One day you suddenly realize the house is still filled with laughter, but your voice is no longer there. You used to be the center of the family, the one who had to ask for every decision, the strong shoulder for your children to lean on. But then time passed. That role gradually changed. Your children grew up, started their own careers, had their own lives. And one day, you noticed a strange but very real change. Your advice was ignored. Your opinions were no longer listened to. Even your children's eyes now were a bit contemptuous, or worse, pitiful. You once sacrificed your youth, your health, your own dreams to build a good life for your children. But in return, what you received was not respect, but less frequent calls, superficial words, and the feeling of being considered extra. Have you ever heard your children say, "Don't worry about it, Mom. I know what to do." "Dad, you're so old-fashioned. This is a different era." Or worse, "Mom and Dad don't understand. Don't interfere." Those sentences, though short, cut like a knife into the heart. It's not that you need your children to worship you, but at least you deserve some respect. But now, perhaps you're asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Why are they behaving like this? You try to change. You're humble. You're patient. You hope that if you're good enough, patient enough, your children will realize. But the harder you try, the more you're overlooked. It's no longer a sad feeling, but a deep pain of someone who used to be the pillar, now feeling small in their own family. I understand that feeling, and you're not alone. In today's video, we'll explore 6 ways to regain your child's respect, gently, without raising your voice, without arguing, but still make them see you with different eyes. Respect, gratitude, and above all, true love. And if you're feeling lonely, frustrated, or even helpless in your role as a parent, don't take your eyes off this video, because what you're about to hear could be the turning point for you to regain your voice, your place, and your inherent value in the family. Have you ever silently done everything to please your child, only to receive a half-hearted nod? Or worse, silence? Have you ever thought that if you were kind enough, sacrificing enough, being gentle enough, your child would appreciate you more? However, the painful truth is, the more you chase after your child's approval, the more you lose your place in their eyes. Many parents fall into an invisible trap, the trap of unconditional sacrifice without clear boundaries. You give in. You stay silent when you're told off. You nod in agreement to unreasonable demands, just because you're afraid of your child getting angry or losing connection. But what you don't realize is that this indulgence doesn't make your child love you more. It just makes them assume that you're the one who always has to give in. Let me tell you the story of a mother named Margaret. She used to be an independent, strong-willed woman, but as she got older, she began to live her life around her children. She canceled private appointments to babysit her grandchildren, kept quiet when her children argued with her, and even accepted being told off without a response. When I asked her why, she just said, "As long as the family is happy, I can handle it." But the price she paid was her children's respect for her faded. They stopped asking her for her opinion. No asking, just informing. And the most heartbreaking thing is, they no longer see her as someone worth listening to. Why is that? Because when you put yourself down, others will look up to you. Respect doesn't come from sacrifice, it comes from self-respect. It's time to stop. Stop trying to please everyone. Stop nodding just to keep the peace. Stop sacrificing your peace for a reluctant yes. Start small. Say no when you feel it's not appropriate. Speak up when you're being treated unfairly. Stand up for your beliefs, not to antagonize your children, but to show them that you have boundaries, you have value, and you have a voice that should be respected. Because once you start respecting yourself, others, including your children, will learn to respect you. Have you ever sat in front of your child, tried to reason things out, tried to reiterate all your hard work, tried to explain why you deserve respect, only to receive cold eyes, disdainful looks, or a dismissive response? Arguing is never the path to respect. It only puts you in a weak position and deepens the gap. Be honest with yourself. When was the last time you changed someone's mind through a heated argument? Probably never. Because respect comes not from loud words, but from quiet demeanor. It's not how much you say, it's how you live. How you maintain your dignity amid the scorn. I remember a man named Frank, a retired teacher. He taught his students with calmness and discipline all his life. But when he got old, his own children would interrupt him, laugh at his comments, and even ignore him as a grumpy old man. At first, Frank got angry. He argued, raised his voice, trying to prove that he was still worth listening to. But things only got worse. His children grew more distant, and he felt he had lost all value in his family. Until one day, he changed. Instead of arguing back, he remained silent with dignity. He held his head high, stood his ground, but did not need to win or lose. He began to listen to his children with calmness, without judgment, without harshness. And when he spoke, he chose to speak less, but deeply, without letting his emotions dominate. Gradually, a strange thing happened. His children began to listen. Not because he talks more, but because he is a model of stability. You see, the most respected person in the room is not the one who talks the loudest, but the one who shows up with poise, peace, and confidence. So if your child is looking down on you, don't scream to reclaim your position. Live in such a way that your position becomes irreplaceable. Stay calm when you are looked down on. Choose calmness over reaction. Show your child you don't need to scream because you know your worth. And one day, your child will realize the person they once ignored is the person who has the greatest influence in their life. Not because you talk a lot, but because you live a respectful life. There is a silent sadness that many older parents never speak of. It is the feeling of being forgotten. You used to be the center of your child's world, used to be asked about every day, used to be an indispensable support. But now, the phone is silent. The gatherings are less frequent. And when you take the initiative to call, sometimes you only get a hasty "I'm busy" in return. Emotions, when they become a dependency, will make you lose your dignity. You start to live in waiting, waiting for a text message, waiting for a call, waiting for a hug to feel that you are still valuable. But the more you wait, the smaller you become in your child's eyes. I remember a woman named Helen, a kind mother who lived her whole life for her children. When her children grew up and were busy with their own lives, Helen waited for the phone to ring every day. When it didn't ring, she called, then called again. She reminded her child that she missed him, that she felt lonely, that she wanted to see him. It seemed like love, but in reality, it made the children feel burdened, not because they didn't love their mother, but because they felt demanded. Love was drained by invisible pressure. If I don't call, My mother will be sad. Then one day, Helen decided to stop. She stopped calling first. She joined a book club. She learned to cook new dishes. She went for walks with friends and started to smile more. And then the magic happened. Her children started calling back. Not out of obligation, but because they missed their mother. Because an emotionally independent person always exudes a very special charm. You don't need to hold on to be loved. You just need to show your children that you are still alive, with or without their attention. True love does not come from lack, but from freedom. So if you feel your children are drifting away, don't do anything to get them back. Return to yourself. Find forgotten hobbies. Meet old friends. Do things that make you happy without needing anyone's recognition. And then, you will see this. When you don't need your children to feel fulfilled, that's when your children will actively seek you out. Not out of responsibility, but because they truly appreciate a father or mother who knows how to make themselves happy. There is a silent truth that many older parents do not dare to face. Children behave disrespectfully not because they don't love you, but because you allow it to happen. Family love does not exclude disrespect. Love does not mean you have to endure hurtful words, disdainful attitudes, or times when your feelings are ignored. And that's why setting boundaries is so important. Not to create distance, but to maintain dignity in the relationship. I once knew a father named Robert, a retired businessman. All his life, he ran the company with determination and courage. But when he got old, facing his children, he became weak. His son interrupted him while he was talking. His daughter sarcastically commented on his opinions as if he no longer knew anything. He said nothing, just smiled. He told himself, well, they are young. Let them have peace. But year after year, that peace was replaced by contempt. One day, Robert could not stand it anymore. When his son interrupted again, he calmly said, when you are ready to listen, I will continue. When his daughter scoffed, he replied, you may disagree, but I expect you to show respect. And then, most importantly, when those boundaries were crossed again and again, he withdrew. No fuss, no blame. He simply did not participate in conversations, meals, meetings where he was not respected. The result? At first, the children reacted, even angrily. But gradually, they began to listen, because they realized respect was no longer an option, but a condition for being close to their father. You see, boundaries do not break relationships. They make them valuable. When you dare to say, I don't agree to be talked to that way. I won't participate if we don't listen to each other. If you continue to behave like that, I need some time alone. It's not a tantrum. It's a reminder. You deserve to be treated with respect. And most importantly, boundaries must be backed by action. Setting boundaries without enforcing them is just talk. But once you're consistent, even if it's not easy at first, your kids will learn to treat you like an adult, not like an easygoing old man. Remember, boundaries don't make you distant. They make you valued. Parenting is a long journey of giving, time, effort, love, sacrifice. We give without expecting anything in return because we love. But there's a fine line between unconditional love and giving that's taken for granted. And if your kids are no longer grateful, no longer appreciative, but just taking it for granted, even demanding more, then it's time to stop. Stopping doesn't mean stopping loving. Stopping doesn't mean becoming cold or calculating. Stopping is to teach your children that kindness is a gift, not an obligation. I once met a father named George who lived his whole life for his children, helping financially, picking up and dropping off his grandchildren, doing everything he could to support his children, even when his health was failing. He didn't complain, but he secretly hoped for a thank you, a little care from his children. Sadly, what he got in return was, "Can you help? I'll send you some money tomorrow. Come over when you're free." No words of appreciation, no questions like, "Are you tired?" And the most heartbreaking thing was that when he was sick, no one was there. Until one day he decided to stop. No more picking up and dropping off. No more instant money transfers. No more changing personal plans just to keep up with your work. Instead, he started saying, "I can't help this time. I have my own business. Can you handle it yourself?" At first, the children were upset. They even complained. "You've changed." But gradually, they began to realize that their father's love was not limitless. They learned to appreciate each time their father helped. And they began to ask, listen, and share in return. You see, when giving is not appreciated, continuing only breeds ingratitude. So, if you are feeling, your children accept without thanking you, asking you for help without caring whether you are ready, taking your help for granted, it's time to ask yourself, am I helping out of love or out of fear of being forgotten? And if the answer makes you feel like you're being emotionally exploited, take a strong step back. Because when kindness is taken for granted, the only way to restore its value is to stop, to let people learn to be grateful again. Remember, when you teach your children that kindness comes with appreciation, you're not hurting feelings, you're preserving them. Here's a truth that many parents don't want to admit. Your children are not the center of your life. Yes, you love them. Yes, you've sacrificed for them. But if one day all you have is looking to your children to fill the void in your heart, sooner or later you'll feel lonely, disappointed, and disoriented. Why? Because your children grow up, busy with work, their own families, their own lives, and if you don't have a world of your own, you will inadvertently become someone who is always waiting, calling, interfering, expecting, things that make your children want to stay away from you instead of getting close to you. I once knew a woman named Eleanor, who was widowed at the age of 72. All her love, time, and mind were devoted to her children. She called every day, asked too much, gave unsolicited advice, and expected her children to fill her loneliness. The result? The children gradually called less and less. The visits became less frequent, and Eleanor fell into a silent sadness. Why are my children so inconsiderate? But then, Eleanor decided to change. She joined a book club. She went for morning walks with a group of friends her age. She learned flower arranging, meditation, and even signed up for an online cooking course. Little by little, she stopped waiting. No more calling every day. No more wondering, will they remember me today? And the magic happens. The kids start calling more. Seeing her busy, happy, energetic, they start admiring and respecting her. Not because she needs them, but because she has found herself. See, when you live a rich, independent, passionate life, you don't just enrich yourself. You make others see you differently. If you want your kids to respect you, don't let yourself be a second-hander in their lives. Create your own life. A healthy routine. A group of friends with similar interests. A small personal goal to work toward each day. because in the end, your presence is most valuable when it doesn't depend on anyone else. You are an independent individual, a valuable person, a life that still has much to discover. And when you live like that, happy, stable, independent, your children will not only see you as a mother or a father, but as a charismatic, capable role model, someone they truly respect. During our parenting journey, we are often taught that if we love enough, sacrifice enough, tolerate enough, then our children will respond with gratitude and respect. But the reality is different. Love can be given unconditionally, but respect, it must always be deserved, and no one can force others to respect them. It does not come from tears, complaints, or reproaches. How hard did you raise us? When I was sick, who stayed up all night? What kind of child is not filial? No. Respect is not created by the past, but by the way you live in the present. Do you want your children to respect you? Start with the way you respect yourself. All 6 actions in this video are not tricks or behavioral skills, but profound changes in thinking and behavior. Stop seeking approval from your children, because the person who needs your respect first is you. Stop arguing to be right, because you prove your worth by being calm, not by raising your voice. Withdraw emotional dependence, because no one respects a person who lives off the emotions of others. Set and maintain boundaries, because people without limits will never be respected. Stop giving blindly, because kindness without gratitude quickly turns into contempt. And finally, build an independent life outside of your children, because you are not born to revolve around anyone. You are the center of yourself. According to family psychologist Dr. Laura Markham, who specializes in the relationship between parents and adult children, children only respect their parents when they see that their parents have their own lives, their own values, and do not need to beg for anyone's affection to feel fulfilled. She emphasizes that parents who try to control their children's emotions, force filial piety, or turn themselves into victims to gain pity, will all reap distance, not respect. On the contrary, parents who live with courage, passion, serenity, know where the boundaries are, will make their children want to be close, not be forced to care. Respect is never born from obligation. Respect only sprouts from admiration. And if you are still skeptical, if you have ever thought, I am old, what time is there to change? Then remember one thing: respect does not depend on age. It depends on how you live each day. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be strong right away. You just have to start, even if it's slow. A gentle refusal when you don't want to do something. A coffee date with a friend instead of waiting for your child to call. A time to express your true feelings without trying to please anyone. And little by little, you will see the magic happen. When you live true to your values, people around you, including your children, will not be able to help but notice. You don't need your children to respect you to live, but when you live the right way, your children will be able to respect you. If you find this message worth pondering, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with other parents who are silently hurting because their children forget them, because maybe just one sentence at the right time can help them change their whole life.